What's up, there, Travel Chronicles? I'm not sure what chapter this is, but I've been thinking about some health and fitness stuff lately. We'll call this the health and fitness. Really, it comes down to like steroids and adding muscle later in life. Not doing steroids, for one. For two, I would never ever suggest it. After doing like a little bit of research into it, not because I was thinking about doing it, just because I watched a documentary on the Liver King, which was kind of interesting, right? This is a guy, another health influencer type person that's out there, trying to sell something. And his thing is the 9 tenets of living, and I don't remember what all of them are. Eat, sleep, connect, whatever. But he's selling this stuff. Plus, he's got some supplements that have to do with liver, because it's like, oh my goodness, you got to eat raw meat and eggs and all this stuff, and you'll get super jacked like he is. And he's like, no, I don't take any steroids. All I do is this stuff with my supplements and eating this raw meat and testicles and stuff like that. It's just pretty intense, right? This protocol that he was on. Well, then it turned out that he had sent an email to the guy from More Plates, More Dates, and that guy had somebody else send him an email where the Liver King had told him all the stuff that he was taking, which was fairly significant, as it turns out. It was quite a bit of steroids and different things. And then he got called out for it. So then his whole, wellness platform or whatever took a massive hit, because he was doing all this stuff because his kids were sick before, and it's like, we got to get back to this ancestral living and live like that, and you can be super jacked like I am. And it was all a facade, fake. I mean, to a point. Like, you're not going to get massive muscles by just taking steroids. Like, you got to do the work. Like, you got to put the work in. The steroids just help your body to recover and grow the muscle. And usually people are taking it with insulin and like a human growth hormone and some other stuff. And when I was looking at that documentary, got me to think, like, is he showing some things that exhibit steroid use? And I always heard like, people that have like a big gut, like they still have abs, right? But it's like really sticking out, like this protruding belly. And it's actually called Palumboism, because it's named after a former bodybuilder, Dave Palumbo, that had like figured out how to take steroids with insulin and all this other stuff, and he got massively jacked, and his stomach started like sticking out. And what happens is the human growth hormone, it doesn't just affect the muscles, right? And this is the problem with steroids as well, is that the HGH makes everything grow, including your organs. So your stomach, the intestines, your heart are all growing and getting bigger, and it pushes against the abdominal wall and kind of pushes everything out. So people that are on steroids have this Palumboism, where their stomach is sticking out because everything's gotten bigger inside, and it's pushing out against their organs. So even if they're ripped or muscular and stuff, now they have some telltale signs. So if you look at the Liver King, yeah, he's got some signs of this Palumboism, or his abdominal muscles kind of sticking out. And it kind of got me thinking that, well, the other issue is that while it's making all your other internal organs grow, it also does something to your heart, because your heart's a muscle, right? So if you're working your arms and legs and you're trying to get them big and jacked, your heart's working at the same time, but your heart doesn't get jacked. At best, if you do a lot of endurance stuff and you have a really high heart rate, VO2 max is like the longevity metric, of healthy heart. But steroid users, their heart does get bigger. Like the wall gets thicker on the heart, but it doesn't grow like, like a long distance runner where it's more efficient. The heart is, maybe a little bit bigger, but it's stronger because it's pumping more blood, so it's more efficient. It doesn't do that. It actually like kind of walls off and it gets real thick, and then it doesn't work quite right. Which is why if you look at like people that have been admitted steroid users, or it's obvious that they use steroids even if they didn't admit to it, a lot of them die before they make it to 50, right? Or like right around that age. Somebody that used steroids was massive and probably really overused steroids. Like you don't see them 80, 90 years old. You don't. Unless they just did it for a brief period and then got off of it. The real problem is people that's like 10 plus years. It's like they don't make it. And I was watching another YouTube video with Dr. Mike Israetel. He's kind of funny, but he's a bodybuilder, jiu-jitsu. Like he has a doctorate in all this kind of stuff, and he takes steroids, admitted steroid user, and he did this thing with somebody where they were like, hey, if I wanted to get jacked for a movie role, like what would I take? And it's like, all right, well, we're not worried about living too long after this, right? Like how much muscle can we add in a short period? And it's like, we're going to put you on all this stuff, which is like 3 times what a bodybuilder takes. And it's like, but it's going to kill you. So like the knowledge is out there that the steroids it's going to shorten your life. And that kind of makes it like, well, that's not the goal, especially like this, if you're trying to do a longevity thing. And it makes the thing about the Liver King, kind of ironic, because this is a guy that's selling these ancestral tenets that had tried to turn his kids' life, their health around, because they were doing these things. And then he's doing something, kind of, I don't want to say above and beyond, but he's doing something that's gonna actually kill him. But he was doing it so that he could sell more of his supplements. It's crazy. But that's what people do. Like, especially people in that health, longevity, workout influencer, in that sphere, they're trying to sell something. And that's the big thing that you got to watch out for. Like, I think there is a healthy way to do it. I think there's a healthy way even to gain muscle after you're 40. And the whole goal, to me should be, how healthy can you be? Like, what's the best version of you that you can get to? And I don't want to say studied it, but I've looked at it really close, in the last year and a half now. I think it was like March of 2024 when I really started to kind of dig into it. And I feel probably as healthy as I've ever felt. I did set a PR in a 5K last year. I ran one in November after that. Well, 2, because I ran the turkey trot, but I did not improve my turkey trot time. It's just because that's a different race and it was wet. But I felt really good at that period. Would I set a PR today if I was running? I haven't trained like I had been like the previous 5 or 6 years, so I doubt it. But I feel pretty strong when I run. I'm probably the strongest I've ever been. I at least feel like I look the strongest that I've been. I feel decently athletic. Playing pickleball and stuff. I mean, granted, like some people say, that's an old person sport, but I mean, you can play as hard as you want to play playing pickleball. On a dry court or inside, there's not a whole lot that I won't get to, but the whole thing about it is you want to live your best life, so that if something does come up, an injury, an an illness or whatever it is, you're in the best condition to bounce back from it. The problem is if you live a sedentary lifestyle, you're not in a good position to recover. You don't have the lung capacity. Your heart's not as strong. It's a hard thing to overcome. So that is my goal. Is just try to be healthy, try to be better. How good can I get at this? Like, I'm 47 years old. I'm not going to be an Olympian. I'm not going to be a professional sports star. Although there is an over 50 league for pickleball. They have teams of 14. So, maybe I could be there and be in the combine. I don't know. Like, I'm sure those people are like really, really good. 5-0, 5+ players. Like, I try to do things well, but I need to, play with really good people. But I'm playing with enough of different groups of people where, I see them getting better and hitting better shots. So I think that's making me better, slowly. I'd like to play with a group of people that are already better than me and get better that way. But I haven't ran in those circles yet. So, but definitely being active, being more active. Now, I do take supplements and different things, and I think the biggest thing that would help my recovery, like the hardest thing now is as you get older, is recovery, right? So it's not necessarily about the activity. Anybody can go out there and do the activity. It's about how long does it take before you can do the activity again. Last night I ran 4 miles. I'm going to go play pickleball tonight. Different muscle groups, what have you. But it's about getting up for those activities. And I don't feel, horrible. Body battery says 42 right now, so it'll probably be 20 or below by the time I'm done. I may rest a little bit when I get home. But, that's the key, is how fast can you recover now? Not necessarily going to do the activity, but, also do the activity and not hurt yourself. If you can do the activity and not hurt yourself, kind of a win at this age. You go, you enjoy it. All right, cool. We got out of here. We didn't get hurt. That's a W. If you frame it like that, that makes you feel better about the effort. Then you're not so upset with the results of the effort necessarily. You can feel good about it no matter what. I have been doing more resistance training. From what I can see, it's like 2 to 3 times a week, or 10 to 20 sets on a muscle group a week, and using progressive overload, which I do. I try to bump up the weights or the sets or the reps every time I go. So over the last, I think like 6-7 months, I kind of changed what I was doing. I was doing a 1x20, and now it's more of a 2x15 type thing, where I'll come in, I'll do 2 sets. Of 15, or a set of 15 and a set of 10, rather than just 1 set of 20 for a group. Then I'll come back and hit it with more weight with less reps. So that's how I've been modifying my workout lately, to try and grow. Like I said, the only thing that I've cut back on is running, but that's been replaced with pickleball. So a lot of activity there. It's just, it's different. It's a lot of start and stop, back and forth, a lot of calves, a lot of hamstring, a lot of shoulder, those types of things. So, all right. Well, that's all we got today. Stay off of steroids, number one. That's the big thing that I've learned. Like, it's not worth it. If you haven't doing it, you don't need to. Like I said, you can still grow muscle even above 40. You just gotta kind of be consistent, stay with it, and the big thing is nail your recovery. Make sure you eat enough protein. You can do some supplementation with creatine and different things, and that helps some. But the biggest thing is just do something. Just do something. All right. Well, that's all I got. I'm going to go rest and then get ready for pickleball. All right? Be careful. See you later. Recovered free.